Turning your creative passion into a business is a really different step, and it looks really different for everyone. But what I can do is share with you my experience about that pivotal moment when I chose to turn my passion for creating clothing into a business and what it looked like, because it wasn't a smooth ride and it definitely wasn't a linear one to really step into that path to be able to do it full time. If you've stumbled across this video, my name's Leina and I'm the very proud owner of Made It, the leading handmade marketplace for artisans. And we really focus on those smaller scale artisans, like earrings and ceramics, jewelry, smaller scale wall art. So much. There's so many. There's over 15,000 products on the platform. And my big, hairy, audacious goal, because I'm a big believer that we should share these on this path, but I want Made It to take the leading spot with handmade artisans. I want to take the handmade market off Etsy. So if you're up for the challenge and you want to come on that journey with me, I'm glad you're here. Make sure you subscribe. But today I wanted to talk to you about really that decision when it goes from having your creative passion and you're like, right, well, what's that point in which I'm going to turn it into a business? Now, first and foremost, it looks really different for everyone. And for me, it wasn't linear. It wasn't like a direct path to kick off the business. And it was something that I did as a side hustle for a few years, and then I stopped. And then I kind of had some pivotal moments in there as well, which were the decision for me to take it to the next stage. So I'd love to share that with you today. Hopefully it's helpful, and hopefully it gives you some insights about, if you started as well, are you acting like it's a business or is it a hobby? And because those are two very different things, and the outcome that you get is very different. And neither one is better than the other, just to be clear as well. But it's important that you know which direction that you're going in order for you to be able to actually create a life that you love. And, if you're a creative and you're here, and having a business that actually earns you an income is so rewarding. I just have to share that it's worth all of the work. It really is. And it may not be immediate, but when you let that kind of hold back of time, if you let that go, this can be the most wonderful journey that you can go on. So let's start up with that original motivation about whether it's something that you want to just do as a side hustle or whether you're actually wanting to replace it as an income. Now, for me, when I launched my fashion label, and I first did it back in 2008, and I was very clear, I wanted that to be my full-time income, but I was already working in the industry. So I had a pattern and technical consultancy, and I was consulting to labels like Lisa Ho, Josh Goot, Tim O'Connor. If you're around in that time, in the early 2000s, you might know those brands. But what I found is I was working with designers and I was doing the pattern development, so the base fit for their garments. And I sort of realized, I was like, why am I doing this for other people when I could be doing it for myself? And I was already, of course, making all my own clothes and doing all that stuff as well. But one of the things that I also found is that when I went out to market to find the garments that I wanted to be wearing, I couldn't find them, or if I did find them, the fit was really poor or the quality was really poor. And I felt like I had something to add. And that might be one of the first points that you've discovered as well. Let's say, for an example, if you do crochet or knitting, right, that you might be finding products out there that you're like, well, hold on a second. I think that I can add something new. And I think that I've got something that's worthwhile and that will work really well in the market. Now, to be clear, I was developing jersey wrap dresses. So if you imagine like Diane von Furstenberg, she was a huge inspiration, but that really super simple, sleek corporate wardrobe was the space that I was playing in, right? And there was hundreds of other labels doing that product. So it doesn't matter that there's already hundreds, thousands of other people out there doing what you're doing, but it's still about that little tiny glimmer that you're adding something fresh. For me, it was always about fit. It was always about fit, always about the cut, and always about making fashion easy and inclusive. I hated that so many fashion brands made it so tricky for those that weren't super into fashion to actually make the garment work, like, how you tie it or even how you launder the product. But so that might be kind of like that first little glimpse for you about, well, hey, maybe if you've got something fresh that you want to add or something that you want to develop or that's got a place, then that's kind of an idea that there is space for you to be able to turn it into a business. But again, going back to that hobby versus business, these are so different. And selling online is not what it used to be. And I definitely don't subscribe to that whole feeling of like where you go, oh, in the golden days when you used to be able to. It's not about that, but it's to really recognize that the space of digital, the space of online, the space of creation, the growth of creative businesses means that it no longer is just a matter of putting stuff online and it's going to sell. It really doesn't work that way. You have to be able to commit some serious time into actually promoting your product. But on the flip side, if you want to create a small hobby business where you can potentially sell to your friends and to your family and to your sort of connected network, then that is absolutely an option. And you don't have to turn it into this massive business for you to be really passionate about. So your version of what business might mean and my version of what business might mean can be very different, but they both have absolute relevance to us individually. So even though I started my business in 2008 and I did a couple of small ranges, I showed it to friends, I got into some shops, but I was quite well connected in the fashion industry. So those felt like kind of simpler things for me to do. But also around the same time, I decided that I wanted to go off and work for a bigger brand, and I managed to get an incredible role with Country Road working on their new brand Trenery. And it was such an awesome opportunity. I was like, I have to take this opportunity. But part of that meant that I wasn't able to continue the label. It was part of my contract as well, that I couldn't have like an outside business to use up my energy as well. And I just made that decision. I was like, you know what? I go all in with everything that I do. And if you already know me, you probably know that about me. But so I made that decision to stop at that stage. And it wasn't until I'd been working with Trenery and absolutely loved it. Oh my goodness. Anyone out there wanting to work for an incredible fashion company, go check out Country Road, go check out Trenery. They're incredible. But what I realized is that I wanted to be involved in all parts of the business. And so I was taken in to work on their size charts and to develop our new fit to make it have a differentiation from Country Road as well. But what I was finding was that I didn't just want to be working in that one area. I actually wanted to have my toes, my fingers in all parts of the business. I was curious about the marketing. I was curious about the production. I was curious about the shop format, about the engagement with customers, all of the different areas, which to me was an absolute clue that I needed to put it into my own business. And of course, working for a big company like that, that wasn't going to be the role that I would be put into to be in all areas. But again, it was a clue for me that it was time for me to turn my creative passion into a business as well. So maybe that's what you've been finding, that it's not just about the product, because if you're going to become a small business owner, maybe you're going to turn that into a big size company one day. But you've got to love all parts of the business. And look, let me take that back. You don't have to love bookwork. I think we can all as creatives agree that we'll get the bookwork done, but we don't have to love it. I think if we're all okay with it, it's all right. But you do really, you're going to have to run all parts of the business, especially when you start out. So making that decision to really take that creative passion into a business, being okay with being across all of those different aspects of the business is a really important part of it. So it was at that time for me that I really was like, no, I need to do this. It is my calling. I'm going to go all in. But I still wasn't full-time. I wasn't full-time for another 2 years. I was teaching at that time, teaching fashion and building up my business on the sideline. And that was a reality, you know. We all have to eat. We all have to pay our bills. And that was how I made creating my creative business into a full-time income, as I did it in stages. So perhaps you're right at the beginning, or perhaps you're a little bit of the way in, and that's okay. Remember that there's different stages to business, and officially kicking off and starting your business doesn't mean that you have to be full-time in it. As far as my personal advice when it comes to starting out your business, some of the key things that I would suggest, and it's really in two parts here, but the first part is to spend as little as possible. Now, you're going to have the absolute basics that you need to do as far as the materials that you're going to need to make your products. But outside of that, I really want you to take on this concept which is called the MVP, and it's a part of a book which is written by Eric Rice, and it's called The Lean Startup, and I'll put the link in the show notes below as well. But it's around this whole concept. MVP stands for the minimum viable product, and what it means is that what is the minimum outlay that I'm able to do in order to take my product to market? And the reason that we want to do that is that we want to be able to go into that testing phase to see whether or not there's validity for the products that we're creating. Because I think that when we're doing something that's really built from a place of passion and heart as well, we can get so attached to what that product is before we've even tested it out in the market, and we start spending money on something when really, if we could lengthen out that time at the beginning to really go, hey, what would it look like if I was to be able to test my product? Now, one of the interesting comments that I hear from artisans is that they'll be like, oh, yeah, but that sale was just for my friends and family, so that doesn't count. And that's so not true. Look, your friends and family may buy more than the average bear, but they also will buy what they love. So if you've got multiple products on offer, they will still go for the products that they're attracted to. Now, if a friend or a family member continues to buy from you, that is showing that they actually genuinely love your product and that they're able to find use of it. And I think for anyone starting in their small business, actually being able to leverage that love from your friends and family is such a beautiful way to kickstart your business, because it means that you can have these genuine reviews. It means that you can have people that love you and love your product sharing what you do. And when someone else shares what you're doing, that is the most powerful form of marketing that you will ever have. It's the golden nugget that big companies are looking for all the time. How can we get our customers to refer us rather than us having to sprout about it? So really acknowledge that and be okay with embracing those early stages of your friends and family buying from you. One of the things that you are going to have to put into that first initial spend that you do, and it really is a non-negotiable, right? But it is actually having some basic equipment that you can have to be able to take photos and to do images. Now, I'm sharing lots of information on this. I've got another video which is about really how to set up a simple backdrop for a very small investment, but which will really set you up well if you're wanting to sell products online. And I'll share a video as well of the equipment that I use and what I love. And I've tested out lots of products, and there's definitely a few that are standouts. But even as far as getting lighting, you can absolutely use the filters that you get on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook in order to be able to make great videos. But I think the thing is, with getting very basic equipment, and I'm talking a tripod and a light will literally be all you need to get started, you will be able to use those for the rest of time in whatever business you end up going into, or perhaps even a role within a company that you're in. So I think that for, under $200, you can set yourself up with those two things, and they will really set you up so that you can kickstart your business. So if you're right on the fence about whether you should turn your creative passion into a business, I think it's a good time to go through. And of course, I'm a big believer in listening to your intuition. And that really means being able to quiet your mind and actually listen for the little soft voice that will give you the answer. I think if you're right in the front of your brain and you're saying, should I start a business? And you're like, I think I should, I'm not sure, and it's talking to you like that, that's not your subconscious, that's your conscious mind having a debate within you. You want to calm yourself and just listen for the soft voice that tells you very specifically what you should do. But I also think you need to start off with that MVP mindset. What is the minimum viable product that you could release and test to see not only if people are interested in it, not only if it will sell, but also how you feel when you're in the moment of stepping into a business. So if you're looking for a really simplified solution to sell your creations online, come over, check out Made It. It is not only a beautiful platform, but it's also an incredible collective. But pop a comment down below as well. I'd love to connect with you, and I'd love to hear about even what your decision was if you've started your business that said, yes, I'm ready to take it into that small business mode.